Hello there, and welcome to the Tuesday Takeaway. I'm Josh Britton, wherever they are on the screen.
I'm James.
I'm Steve.
This is Steve. And this is the Tuesday Takeaway, the Single Parents United. And tonight we are going to be talking about, as single parents, how do we and when do we, and all the other stuff that comes with it, introduce a new partner to our children, our family, perhaps our ex, if you're in that space as well. And we're going to be talking about this and sharing our experiences as well. So who wants to kick off first?
You want me to?
Go for it. You're looking very brown, Steve, can I say? Have you been like under a sun lamp or something?
Yeah, I've been on sunbed trying to get some vitamin D, Tosh.
Fantastic. I love that.
I think we need some Tosh.
I know, I'm looking so pale. I haven't got my brown powder out this week.
Right.
Yes. Let's be serious now.
Yeah, so where do we start? So I introduced my children to an ex-girlfriend after about 4 weeks because she was very keen to meet the children. Went great with Harry, not so great with my teenage daughter. She proper kicked off when the girlfriend left. She had a right go at me, and I had to get my mum involved to slowly reassure Lily that this person was all right. But it just continued, and this was the first one that she had to meet, the first ever one. So, and you know Lily, don't you? Well, James, you know, can you remember the?
Yeah, I suppose it's understandable, isn't it, when it's the first kind of woman that's been involved in a life since a mum had left. It's understandable that she felt a little bit apprehensive and angry as well. You can completely understand it, can't you, I suppose?
Yeah, I was going to say, did you have a conversation with your children beforehand that you were seeing somebody?
Yeah.
And I think probably the main thing is that actually none of us know how we're going to react in any of these situations because we really haven't been there before. And so, I think we find that with ourselves, it's kind of like, ooh, how do we feel introducing somebody new to our children? And maybe, I don't know if you're maybe feeling a little bit worried about that, or maybe your girlfriend was, and maybe your daughter just kind of picked up a bit on it and just was kind of maybe sensed maybe something or not.
Yeah, she was just like, after that night, obviously we talked and we tried to arrange some more meetups, but she was just deliberately awkward at everyone. And it got to a point where really, you know, it wasn't worth the aggro. You know what I mean? But for me personally.
Yeah.
And I'm a strong believer, and if your kid senses there's something not quite right with the future partner, then that's a little bit of a sign, I think, that maybe it's not the right time, or maybe they're not the right person.
See, this is like a really big thing because my parents got divorced. And I'm not going to give too much information about the whole thing, but my dad got remarried and my mum was in a long-term relationship. And one of them completely stood steadfast next door to their new partner, and the other one listened to their children. And I think what has come out of it is it's never an easy path, which way you go. And, one of the parents kicked off because the parent was listening to their children, and the children were kicking off with the other one because they didn't feel they were listened to and didn't want to see them so much because they felt that one of their parents was with a new parent. Am I doing well trying to keep it kind of like so you don't know which parents who, but it was quite difficult because I know I felt a sense of alienation, and that perhaps his parent didn't have my back, but also I as a child I could really see that if one of the parents wanted to commit to somebody else and trust them. That's their relationship ultimately, that, you know, after we've all left. It's a tough one, isn't it?
I think that some children would also think that you may be trying to replace the parent that you're no longer with, so whether that's the mother or the father. They think that they're getting a new dad or a new mum, which you can understand the thinking behind that. But it's really, really difficult. I think it's about, for me, doing it the right way, introducing them slowly. Like Steve said, he's done, and not moving too fast, and trying doing it that way, really. Having little meetups, maybe in the park, blah, 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 whatever it is.
Yeah, not at home, not in...
home.
No.
And
Well, that was a problem. James will remember the story well, but she was very keen to see me 4 times a week. Well, 4 times at our house with her child as well, which, you know, Lily was never going to engage with that. Maybe once a week, if that. But and that was what ended it, really. The demands on seeing me that regularly.
I think
but
got fed up with me seeing you that much. A lot of Steve Walker to put up with that for.
I know, Well, I'll never forget when I said, when she said, "Is Catherine not coming this week?" I said, "No, it's over," and she just jumped on me and gave me a big hug.
Oh, maybe she felt like her dad wasn't there so much, even though you were. You know, it's a big fear for children.
Yeah, I think it is that. I think they think that they're going to lose you to someone else.
And, you know, bearing in mind their whole world is kind of, you know, been, whatever you want to describe it, blown apart, or, you know, or changed, is kind of then to suddenly lose one of the, you know, the sort of safe foundational elements as well, and that be threatened. That's going to be a really big thing. I think communication is really, really important, and I think new partners have to, if possible, really just understand that the more space they give the children to get used to them, actually in the long run, that's the better way forward. And you just got to be like super patient. I mean, like, patience is like the word of the year, isn't it?
Mine's gone. Mine went about 4 months ago.
You have to forgive me. I keep moving around, right? This is probably not so professional, but I'm at my sister's, and I've been trying to find somewhere to sit. So I'm actually kind of like cross-legged on the floor and on my knees now. So
We've not met a sister yet, have we?
I've got 4 sisters.
Well, one for James, one for me.
You could have a pair. Go 2 each.
No, that's to introduce to the kids. It's, you know, let's try and get one first.
Yeah, true.
But it's kind of like, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I certainly know when my parents introduced us to new partners, we pretty much back in the day got on with it ourselves, and there wasn't really any kind of conversation about it as well. We just kind of, I think it was a bit like that back in the day though, wasn't it? With everything, we all just kind of got on with it, and, you know.
Can you remember how you felt when you first met the new partner?
I think it depended how they were with us. There was one partner that sat on the sofa, and on our sofa, and we had to go over, and she didn't get up, and she was like, "Hello, nice to meet you." And I was a bit like, well, at least you can get up in my house and like say hello to me. And then there were others that were just like, "Oh my God, it's really lovely to meet you, da da da." And, you know, great. I think it's just being really nice and just putting yourself in the child's position. You know, how would you feel in this position, rather than how you feel as a single person with a new partner? It's actually how the children are feeling. And I do remember meeting up with parents, partners, kids, and kind of going, "Oh God, are these really going to be like step parent, you know, step kids or whatever?" And that was a real like, "Oh my God, I'm going to share my bedroom." And yeah, and luckily for me it didn't happen because I was a bit older, but it was all this stuff, like they, worries about having to share their space with new children, new partners' children.
Toys maybe as well, and
You what?
having to share toys maybe.
It's huge. Yeah, and as well, different children have different rules in their homes as well. So I remember I had a relationship with somebody, their children used to turn up, totally different rules in their house and the other household, and they kind of came to ours, and it was just, it literally, my children were just looking at me, just going, "What is going on here? What has just walked in the house?" So if it's not hard enough already trying to meet somebody and actually get a date and then get into a relationship, and then you got the children, it's like, this is why we're all single parents.
That what you mentioned then about rules, some people who myself and Steve are friends with from the group have said how difficult it is. Bedtimes seems to be quite a big one, and especially with devices, consoles, and stuff. That one parent might let the children stay up till 10 o'clock playing on their Xbox, whereas the other parent at their house is like, no, 8 o'clock it goes off. You start getting ready for bed. So I know that some people have mentioned to us that bedtime routines, for instance, are a big issue. The difference between the two. And obviously, kids, try and play the parents off, don't they? Oh, Daddy lets me stay up till 10 o'clock, and or Mummy lets me stay up till 10 o'clock.
And then you got the whole good cop, bad cop, and then you got the fears that kids might go home and tell the other parent that actually, mum or dad, didn't have a good time because the other kids were there, and of course that's going to prompt a conversation with your ex, and it's like a minefield, isn't it? But I think probably this comes back to really agreeing, like, parenting plans with your ex anyway before another partner comes in. So just saying, listen, if either of us meet somebody else, can we just put an agreement in place that if we meet somebody else, that this is what's going to happen in both houses, so there's no margin for the children to play one off against the other as well, not because the kids are bad, just because it's like survival, isn't it, I guess?
I think as well, on the flip side, there was one relationship I was in where I met the children, and I got a really good bond with one of the daughters. There were 3 daughters, and she was like really troubled, you know what I mean? She really connected with me, and like we did everything together, And then when her mum called it a day, like I actually missed her more than the mother, And I felt bad because her mother told me that she kept texting me, the daughter, on my phone, and I said I can't do anymore, can't keep in touch with you because you know what I mean? It's weird, isn't it? So I felt bad about that.
And maybe you were just somebody for her, like a father figure, and she, that was kind of good for her.
I think so, yeah.
But it's really difficult. I mean, totally difficult. And I once saw an article in a newspaper, a big sort of Sunday one, and it had all the different variables of 2 people getting together with children. And it was just, and you got the parents-in-law and the parents, and then, siblings and cousins and friends. And I mean, I think, what is it? They say second marriages, like 70% end in divorce.
Really?
Yeah.
If you're minded to go back down that route anyway, so.
Wow. That is huge, isn't it?
As if they even get there. I mean, maybe it's only because there are only ever 10 second marriages in a year, like 7 of men, because nobody ever gets to that place.
Yeah, that's a lot, isn't it? That?
It's a really big figure, isn't it?
It could be, like you said, could be down to family, couldn't it? I don't know. Could be down to not getting on with family, I suppose. Yeah. I think it's also must be really difficult as that other person who you're introducing into your family as well. It's probably quite daunting, isn't it, for a new partner to meet someone's children? It's like massive, isn't it? It's a massive step that you take. It's kind of like the next level, isn't it? I think that you've seen someone, you're in a relationship with them, and then it's the next step to meet the kids is quite quite a big thing, isn't it? So it must be
Yeah, I think
like for you, Scott, you Steve, I know you probably you
it went too soon. I listened to her, and I should have listened to you because I remember you saying meeting the kids 4 weeks, and you were like, you can't do Steve, but she was that pressurized in this woman that
you did
I
it
don't.
again with others. You've still not listened to me.
Honestly, Steve.
I listen to you talk, so that's what I do.
Oh God, James, I'm so sorry. Right, we'll just kind of you and I, James and I will just have a little conflab, okay?
If you want to get me to do it, James, tell Tosh, and then she'll tell me.
Or your mum. I'll tell Tosh or your mum. Yeah.
Or my mum, yeah. My mum actually loves Tosh now. My mum follows
God,
Tosh
James, I'm so
everywhere.
Sort you out, man.
She might not have. She's seen my Instagram post today, that's for sure.
Oh, she's not on Instagram.
Oh,
Don't
that's
panic.
all right then.
She's only following you on Twitter.
Oh, that's right. I never post on Twitter, so I'm okay. So I just wanted to share with you something as well. So somebody said it was like taking one for the team, and it was about 6 months after we split up, and we were still we weren't. Were we still living with each other? We were doing, because my ex was traveling a lot and coming back, so we'd just stay in the house and I'd find somewhere else to. So that sort of nesting thing going on, and he met somebody, and after about 6 months, or maybe it was about 7-8 months, it was summer holidays, and they wanted to take the kids away for a 2-week holiday, and the kids had never met her, and she also worked overseas as well, so they're both flying back. They were going to see the kids, but they missed the flight because of the connections and everything, and there was about an hour for the children to meet her and then get in the car with her for 2 weeks. And they'd only spoken to her a couple of times on Skype. And I remember going to lunch with some friends. It was birthday lunch with the kids and everything. They're going, what are you going to do? And I was going, I don't know. Because if you put 100 people in a room and said, right, do you think it's a good idea, your ex and his new partner take away your kids for 2 weeks and they've never met somebody and it's the first relationship, is that a good idea? How many people put their hands up and go, probably not. So, and I remember sort of thinking, everybody's going, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Oh, how do you feel about this? And there's part of me thinking, well, I've just got to trust he's a good person, that although it didn't kind of work out between us, that fundamentally he is a good person and he's a good man and he loves his children. And I remember they turned up, and I think I was lending them my car because it was a bit bigger and there was all this stuff going on. And I remember her coming to the door and the children were outside. They'd run out to see their dad, said hi to her briefly, and I came to the door. And there was this moment, this it all went really quiet. And she came walking out to the door. And she said hi, and she was really tired, and she started shaking, and she was literally shaking. And I went, hi, I'm Tosh, and she came to the door, and I opened it, and we kind of shook hands, and I could feel her hand shaking a bit, and I just thought, let it go, Tosh, and I just gave her a hug, and I just went, we're going to be okay, we're going to do this.
Yeah.
And in that moment, I felt better, because I just went, there's no fighting to be had with this. She felt better. She would have been a happier person on holiday. My ex was looking, he was happy. The kids, most importantly, saw all of this and went, oh, it's okay now. Yeah. So now we can go on holiday and mum's okay with this person. Mm. And it's those moments where you can choose to go right or choose to go left, because actually we're all just humans, just getting on with it, trying to make a life out of something that, is broken, and rebuilding it and mending it in whatever way we can. So my neighbours did come over afterwards, and they went, did we just see what we thought we saw? And I went, yeah, you did. And they went, do you want to come for a drink? And I went, yeah, I think that'd be very nice, thank you.
Yeah, I think it definitely helps if you've got understanding ex-partners. Like you said, you don't want any of that conflict there. That just makes things worse, and it's really great that you were able to do that. I think another difficult thing, and this maybe kind of depends on when you introduce the kids or not, is when you have your children at the weekend. Because I think Steve, maybe you've experienced it, I can't remember, but if you're on opposite weekends with the children, then at some point you're going to have to meet up with the kids just because of the way the weekends fall, or else it's going to be maybe 3 weeks or whatever before you can see each other, just the two of you. So I think that maybe governs a little bit speed maybe of when you have to introduce.
Yeah, that's what she used.
Yeah, I thought he said that was one of the things that you experienced.
He said, right, well, you won't see me then. You won't see me.
Yeah.
And how long into the relationship was that?
4 weeks, wasn't it,
It wasn't long, I don't think, was it?
What can I say, Tosh? Man in demand.
There we go.
More than 100 people by the time.
Well, I think that's kind of the thing. I think with anybody, you just got to, it's going to be easier in the long run if everybody is patient and just takes their time. And of course, if we meet somebody we really want to spend time with, if you've been single for a while, you're probably going, well, actually, now is my time. But actually, it's just like the beginning, isn't it?
Yeah. Maybe you might need you to explain the word patience.
Hey, I'm doing well. I'm still single.
I just think in general, mate, it's not a word I would associate with you, patience. Kind of guy, are you?
No, I agree with him there. I'm not patient, man.
Act now, think later kind of man.
Probably, yeah.
Do you know what? There are some people out there that have done that and then
Well, then
work it out on the way.
You remember the group, James? You said, yeah.
Oh, we've lost Steve.
We'll sort something out. And I texted him. I went and said, I've done running.
Yeah.
Did you hear me then?
Yeah. Sometimes you're absolutely right, mate. It's a very good trait to have. Like a bull in a china shop. I wish I was a little bit more sometimes. So it's not all bad, Steve. I'm joking.
It's like you, though, isn't it, man? When we go out with kids, Tosh, if we ever have to cross a road, it takes a day because he's so cautious. Left, right, left. My kids have crossed the road by the time he started. It's a nightmare.
Are you not a jaywalker, James?
No, definitely.
He's just extra careful, is James. Aren't you, lad?
But that's okay too.
Yeah, some things. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So here's the thing: you've got we've got Halloween coming up.
Oh yeah.
In lockdown, and we've got look.
They all talk about extra careful, Steve. Even the candle is.
There you go. Set it up.
Battery operated.
So what's happening this year in Halloween and lockdown?
I don't celebrate Halloween.
Well,
I don't really celebrate.
That's it. That's all that's happening in my house.
I send my kids to the grandma's for Halloween. She celebrates.
Is that because she's really scary?
If she's watching this,
I don't know.
Is that like a blooper?
It doesn't mean my mum. It means the mother-in-law.
Oh, okay, mother-in-law. Well, I'm just gonna kind of like be the ghost person at the moment. I think I'm so white. I think
I'll be ghosted if she's been watching it.
Yeah. And what they're doing in the village around me, one of the things instead of trick or treating, people are putting Halloween pictures in the windows. Like they did with the rainbows, but Halloween.
Aww.
And kids can dress up and walk around, and every time they spot a picture, the adult of the wave has a bag of sweets and gives them some sweets.
Lovely. I think it's all about so going back to meeting exes and how does anybody, have you guys had have your kids met anybody else's children?
Come on, James, it's all on me this. What about you?
I've not experienced it though. My ex is with somebody that doesn't have kids.
Right.
So obviously there was a.
Yeah, you don't last above 90 minutes in a relationship now, do you?
Well, extra cautious, Steve. For me, my personal personal. I'm not saying this is the right thing to do. Everybody's different, but I like to think about 6 months kind of time scale. I know you can't really put a time scale on things like that, but if it was me, I would probably wait about 6 months and then see what happens. And then the next step after that, introduce them. And I nearly did get to that point last year. That was going to be the next step, but the relationship ended. So we never got to that stage, which looking back, it was the right thing to do. And I'm glad we never introduced the kids because it makes it harder when you split up.
So ideally, the best thing is for you to have a relationship, because my kids have got to the age now, right? So moving like, teenagers, and they're kind of like, Mum, have you met somebody? Oh, what are they like? And they don't have any great desire to meet them anytime soon, because they've got their lives. But children, I think, on some level, they don't want their parents to be on their own. They don't want their dads or their mums, on their own. And I think there is some place within a sort of child's heart, obviously, that they do want their mum and their dad to be with somebody. But I think it's about actually just not having any expectations of how it should go, and that each person is different, and people we meet are all going to come to the table with differences. They're going to have different experiences, different breakups, different children, different ages perhaps, and not having expectations of how we think it's got to go, and just be open to whatever's going to come up. I think is probably a really good way to look at it, and just don't have any set a set plan at all. And finding somebody who believes that as well. Sorry?
Oh, yeah. No, when do you plan on introducing me and James to your kid?
I'm
6
really
months. Can you imagine?
So how many you guys have got 2 each, right? So that, like, there we go, everybody's just going to turn up in 6 months time. And
I tell you what, Tosh, talk us through the chat. No, this is being serious now.
Okay, right.
The chat that you would have with your children before they meet the new partner. How would that go? To help our audience know what to say.
So first of all, I would introduce into conversations with the children, just really little drops into the conversation, so the children are aware over the weeks or months or however long you want to keep it, that somebody else is in the picture as well. I think children as well, they don't want to not know. They don't like having secrets as well. So I think it's quite good to kind of openly talk about, maybe the kindness somebody is extending, or you're feeling kind of happy with somebody and saying, oh, it's really nice and I'd love you to meet them at some point, but when you're ready. So you're kind of planting that seed that they can meet them at some point, but when they're ready. So you're giving them permission to go, actually, rather than saying we're going to meet them, it's like, actually, when you're ready. And then it kind of makes it easier. And that's the same for all of us. None of us like being told we've got to do this, that. It's like, well, when you're ready. And as soon as somebody says that, you got permission to go, oh, well, I might just do it now. Yeah. It feels kind of less like you have to do something. And I think it's that whole thing that, each child is different as well, and they've all got their different worries, and maybe sit down with your children and just say, listen, this is what is going on. I want to have a really honest chat with you because I love you and I care about you. How do you feel about this? And really honestly talk about this. And maybe suggest to your children that if I was you, I might feel a bit like this as well. So the children also know that you understand how they're speaking, or that they're thinking, sorry. And maybe ask them to write some stuff down, their worries down, and then talk about it all together. So if you've got 2 of you or 3 of you, you could perhaps just say, right, I want you guys, I'm going to write my worries down about introducing somebody to you two, to the family, and maybe you guys can do the same as well. And then all just sit around and talk about it. The three of you talk about it. So there's nowhere for people to hide about, how they feel or their worries or their fears, or, talking about children rather than people. So
what about what James and Tosh, what would be your views on having the discussion with your ex about introducing the new partner to the children? How would that go, and when would you plan?
I think it's really important that if you're having a discussion with your child about it, you have a discussion with your ex about it, because like Tosh mentioned about people not liking secrets and stuff, I think the worst possible thing to do would be maybe talk to the child, and then, I know this has happened with not myself, other people saying, "Oh, but don't tell your mum," or "Don't tell you," and I know that has happened to some people, and then the child is obviously thinking then, "Oh, under that pressure, I can't say anything," and obviously as kids, they maybe let things slip to the mum, to the dad, so then the mum or the dad can blow up and be like, why is my son saying this about your meeting someone else and you've not told me? And like I said, I do know that that's happened. So I think it would be really important to talk to your ex as well.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, James. I think that's a really valid point you made there as well. And when I kind of went, "Ooh, it's not in judgment," because none of us know how to do it. And if you've already sort of said that to your children, then it's been said, but it's okay because you didn't know how to do it, or there was no other, you felt at the time there's no other way to explain it. But I would suggest, if you can, just mention to your ex that you are thinking about introducing the children, and ask your ex if you're able to, for their support. I think, because your ex doesn't want the kids coming to your house and them being upset by a new partner, and for them to, I think, asking your ex for support, because actually everybody needs support with relationships, don't they? And I think it's quite
against it.
Sorry, what if they're against it?
Yeah, how do you get around that one?
Do you know what? I would just ask and just say they're a good person. I like them. I want a nice, lovely space for the children to come and feel happy. And I would like your support. And at least ask, even if you think you're going to get the a negative answer, just ask anyway. What have you got to lose?
No, I agree.
Yeah, the worst thing will be for them to find out secondhand, wouldn't it? Not from you personally, but I think.
Well, it's like anything secondhand. You just don't want to be that person that finds out about affairs or whatever it is. You just don't want to be that person.
It's all difficult, isn't it? Because you've got to have a pretty decent relationship with your ex to be able to even have these conversations, haven't you? It must be really hard if you don't have a good relationship with your ex and you don't even barely speak.
But again, what have you got to lose? So even if it's like an email and just saying, "Listen, I've met this person," because ultimately, all you can do is, and that's what I always go on about, is actually you can just be the best person you can be. And if that means communicating what's happening with your ex so they can understand better and have the opportunity to support you, even if it's not a great relationship, at least you have done that. At least you have asked, rather than assuming that because on the the sort of whatever's happened in the past has happened, that it's not going to work this time. And just maybe just go in there, just be vulnerable, I think is kind of the word here, and just say, "Listen, I like this person, I want to make it work, and I would really like your support. I know we haven't agreed on other points, and I know we have a history of falling out, but this is a new opportunity for me." And maybe just say to your ex, if you're able to, if they haven't met somebody yet as well, and I will support you moving forward as well. And sort of, it's that sort of peace offering. And so often we choose not to do that because we're worried about the other person will think we're weak or whatever. Just be vulnerable.
That brings us on to a really good point, actually. And I'm sure, James, you could comment on this, but because my situation was a bit different to James's, but don't worry, I'm not going to drop you in it. But how did it feel?
I'm curious now.
How did it feel, James, when you found out, that your ex was with somebody else and your kids were obviously being co-parented by another father figure. How did that make you feel?
It was difficult. So I did say to my ex that when we split up, actually, that one of the toughest things that I will find it difficult to deal with is if you meet someone else and then obviously spending time with the kids. So yeah, without going into too much detail, it wasn't a smooth process, if that's the right word. Process, is that a bit too formal?
Go formal. It's Tuesday.
Yeah, it wasn't a smooth process, and it was something that I did use to kind of get my head around a little bit, because obviously I was used to being in that house and being there all the time with the kids. Someone else. I think most men would probably find it hard knowing that another bloke is in their house with their kids. No matter what the breakup was like, it feels a bit weird.
I think it's the same for women as well.
Yeah, of course.
It is the same. I'm not watch quoting your thing, but it really, yeah.
And you automatically think, like, are they going to be a better parent than me, for instance? That's something that I thought. Are they going to start doing loads of fun things with my kids? And that goes back to, you mentioned something before, Tosh, which made me think of something. I can't remember what it was, but it was my point was, whatever it was you said, was putting pressure on yourself at a weekend when you've got your children. And I used to do this quite a lot. Just cram in as much stuff as you can for that weekend. And that's one of the reasons for doing it, because you want to be, it's always like a competition, but it's not a competition, because that's really bad. It's not a competition, but you feel like it's just a little bit, that person might be doing something really fun with your kids that weekend. So when they're with me, I've got to just do loads of fun stuff to be better than them. You know what I mean?
I'm just laughing,
yes. I'm
laughing because he's just reminded me. No, he did a really good account. He just reminded me of the fun stuff. Do you remember? He rang me up, Tosh, one morning. He said, Steve, I've got a strategy, a really good strategy. He said, I've been thinking about it all night, right? And it's the 30-minute activity, but you do something different for every 30 minutes, right?
Oh my God, like shoot myself.
His kids got up at like 6:30, and I said to him, all right, yeah, go with it, And it got to about 4 o'clock, and he was like stressed to hell with it.
Yeah, I can't remember why I thought of that. Why to do that, but I got the idea from a film. It's called About a Boy. Have you ever watched it?
Oh, I love that film.
Yeah,
and he does it. Hugh Grant's like, he doesn't work. He doesn't have any kids. And he stay up into 30-minute things like watching Countdown 30 minutes, and that's where I got the idea from. It didn't last long. It was like a build up of lots of other things. I thought, I need to keep these kids busy. I don't know.
So I think this is what you were talking about, James, is really, really, it's a really big thing for a lot of families as well. A lot of little single parents, because, so often, whoever meets somebody and they might have maybe some more money, or they might have a better job, or, or I don't know, mother or father has a better job and the other parent doesn't have so much money. And this sort of, I remember a friend of mine saying to me, she was going, well, he's taking them on holiday at half term and they're doing this and that. And she kind of started getting herself into debt, trying to keep up with two people who had really good jobs. And I was like, what are you doing? And she was like, yeah, but I've got to do this. And I was like, no, just be you. And I think children sense when you're not being you, when you're trying to be something and doing, and it's not to say you don't do lovely stuff with your kids, but when you slip into that comparison mode, you're not being yourself, you're not being authentic, and children can pick up on that as well. And, if it just means that you've got love and big hugs, and you don't have the big holidays, but you just have a lovely, warm, cozy feeling in that home that doesn't have stress and that is gentle and loving and kind. God, that's gold. That's solid gold.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's good advice.
You did well then, man. Impressed. It's a big thing for him, Tosh, this. He's opening up his real feelings.
We got like online James therapy going on here.
It's a soft side of Mr. Niven.
Oh,
Yeah.
of course. I mean, everybody has a
He's gonna go and
soft
cry. He's
underbelly.
gonna have a little cry in a minute.
Oh,
You'll be crying, mate. If you carry on. I'll see you. I think I'm trying not to speak too loud because he's actually in the flat, but I think my eldest will find it really difficult when I meet someone. I'm going off a bit of experience. When he got wind that I was going on a date, he was with one of his friends from school, mum's friend. He set this date up, and Ellis found out, and he was mortified, crying his eyes out.
how old is he?
He's 10 now. So this is going back probably 2 years, I reckon. And he said to me, I like it when it's just us, Daddy. And I was
because
like,
it's safe.
Yeah, I know. And it's safe. It's what he's got used to. But another 2 years down the line now, and I'm nowhere near the stage of introducing anybody to my kids. So I don't know. It's going to be tough, I think. I think he'll find it really tough.
But just gently, I think it's that is that thing, isn't it? That little drip feed, those little comments, just, you know, and let the children get curious, because children are curious about things.
Yeah.
And just kind of, you know, just ask them and just say, you know, it's out if you want to meet them, and just give them the option.
Yeah.
I think if they can see you're happy with somebody,
Yeah.
I think, you know, they get used to it. And but children have a nose. They have a nose if somebody's not right for their parents, as I know anyway.
Please, daughter, definitely.
They know.
I'm only allowed to go out with Tosh now. My mum told me. My mum's recommendation is a Tosh Britain, or actually, I can say one of Tosh's 4 sisters now.
I love it. You're so bold. So bold. That's it. But the thing is, you guys are all on lockdown. I don't even know what's happening now, but
no.
Who knows?
Who knows? This is my friend at the moment. You know, this pumpkin, you know, that's it. Pumpkin. I think you've given us lots of things away from this Tuesday, though, Tosh. I think we all have between.
Pleasure.
Definitely given some.
Yeah, thank you as well, both of you, for sharing.
Yeah. So yeah, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you like, guys, and check us out on Instagram, single.parents.united, and we are also on Facebook, Single Parents United.
And share some love.
Yeah.
All that love.
Bye.
Enjoy Halloween.
Bye.
Bye.
I won't.
You won't. We're still recording.